Good evening to those who listen. It is May 31st, 2026. It's 11:12 p.m. now. It took me a little longer to get this organized to do. Okay, so some disturbing things with what's going on in the large hadron colliders, Fermi labs, and the DCs, and how it's a really weird coincidence of all the things that seem to be in the TV series Three Body Problem. So tell me if this is not strange to you. All right, so Three Body Problem, the first episode, countdown. So there's a countdown, so there's only so much time, but it's all about scientists all around the world. This is in the show now, and see how it compares with what's going on in the real world. So in the show, the scientists are suddenly, well, I wouldn't say disappearing more than they are doing, they are they are no longer alive, but they're doing it to themselves, or they're following orders and stopping their uh, facilities from advancing their science. And then we're seeing in the real world where all these scientists are missing or coming up not alive anymore. Isn't that weird? Okay, so I wrote a lot of stuff down, but it might be out of order, but it's in the order of the show. So let me show you. And this might be a really slow, long video, but I'm going to try to do it as best I can here. Going to Netflix. Not going to have any audio. I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to show you still frames. Now, the beginning opening sequence for the show kind of looks like a portal, looks like CERN. See if I can just that looks like something too. This looks like the inner nerves and stuff of humans. I thought it was interesting how they showed buildings and they showed people inside buildings like they are looking through building walls to see you. So that was one thing I noticed. They come around and this dot travels across the sun, I guess. Wow, I can't get it right. Interesting. Come on. Okay, I didn't get there yet. But this dot goes right in the middle of the sun. But is it the sun or is it a sun? Because there's another sun. And there's a dot and it stays there. I thought for, maybe it could be a planet or something, but then it gets to the middle and it stays there. So it could be like the sun simulator. All right, so they have what happens is I'm just going to kind of explain. So if you're watching this, you're going to have lots of spoilers if you have not watched it. So the scientists at these particle accelerators, or another person, it's just all kinds of technology. There's nanotechnology. There's like a Fermi lab. There's like other particle accelerators. What else? There was neuroscience, whatever. all these, but they mainly concentrate on the particle accelerators and then the nanotechnology, but mainly the particle accelerators. All of the like particle accelerators, large hadron colliders were all shutting down because the scientists were shutting them down because they were getting messages from aliens to do it, or they would be, and they were given a countdown, like they would telepathically send them a countdown timer, and they would see it every so often, and it would remind them this is how much time you have left before either that or you stop your research on technology. So the whole thing, try to explain all this. Okay. So back in the 60s, this guy wrote a book about this. I'm pretty sure some of it's true, but most of it I don't know, is probably not, but hypothetical. So supposedly back in the 60s, 66, 67, 68, China, United States, and Russia, I think it was, were sending transmissions out into space. And they couldn't, they didn't have the technology, the power to receive messages. So they were just sending out messages, but it didn't have enough power to get to where out into deep space. So China, this woman figured out that if you bounced the signal off of the sun, it would be accelerated, not accelerated, amplified, and then it would go past Jupiter. But if you didn't and went straight through Jupiter that direction, then it wasn't as strong. So it wasn't reaching anybody or anything out there. So the woman finally sends the transmission to the sun instead of towards Jupiter. And then I guess the aliens got the message. And then the aliens started having sending messages back. And then they were telling, in the future, back when it got this 2024 now, they were telling people telepathically that the scientists to stop doing their technology. They didn't want them to the Earth to advance their technology anymore. They were coming and they were going to take over the Earth. And we were bugs. We are bugs to them because they're highly superior to us. So in the real world, we got CERN actually shutting down, which is very odd. June 29th. Now we know these DCs are being built everywhere, all over the world, at really fast rates. But now all of a sudden, just in the last few days, we've seen news stories that 50% of all the under construction or planned facilities are now being delayed or canceled. Now, ain't that weird? They were building those things fast as could be. They didn't care who got in the way. They were doing it. Now, all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're delaying and canceling these. Isn't that odd? Now, just as a note, see if anything happens by June 29th. If any of these DCs that are already up and running, if they shut down, that would be kind of odd. It would go against what you would think they were doing, but I think they're trying to say, oh, the people, there's too many people protesting, there's too many people speaking out against it. So now, we're going to take a timeout and break and delay and study it more before we start building any more. That seems fishy. So that's crazy. So what if, here's what I got in here. All right, so here I came up with this. Now this is all going to be kind of out of order, but it's in the order of the show. But I came up with something, a question. What if the aliens or fallen angels, demons, whatever they are, want, because in the show, they want us to stop our technology. But what if they actually want us to build these DCs all over the place for other who knows what reasons? Well, we know got some theories here. So it would be like opposite of what the show is showing, but maybe that's just part of the thing. They're showing us what they're going to be doing, but they're not giving us everything. So we don't, people say, oh, well, look at, they're stopping building them now. So that show's wrong. Well, maybe not. All right. So anyway, the people that see the countdowns, they have a certain amount of time to stop their research. If they do, the countdown stops and they're okay. If they don't do it, then, but most people, it says that if they wait till the countdown runs out, it's going to be worse than if they just off themselves. One guy cut out his own eyeballs so he wouldn't see the countdown anymore. And then he wound up seeing it anyway and wrote on the wall, I still see it. So it's like you can't get rid of it. So then he wound up. So it's not just particle accelerators, but other science tech. I said that already, nanotech. There's a certain frequency that they sent out into space, but it was back. It was weird too because it was back in the 60s, but I have to find it. I'm not sure where it's at. I'm going to pause. Okay, we're back. This is what kind of what CERN looks like. I'm not sure if that's what CERN is there, but this guy is one of the main characters. He's the researcher. Trying to get the thing here where it shows the. Come on. Hold on. Again, so now what you see here is them the simulation of them colliding particles, atoms together, boom. But he found something that's is impossible, supposedly impossible to happen, but it's happening anyway. So they discovered something that seems to be impossible. Now, in real life, CERN supposedly just found something that's impossible. Actually, the AI found something that's impossible. And the headlines, I've seen that on several stories saying that scientists at CERN are quietly panicking. But supposedly it's top secret. They're not telling us what it is. They said something about that they found gaps in the universe, gaps where gravity could go through like to other dimensions. So here we got we've heard CERN so many times that they are bringing demons back from other dimensions. So what if here's my theory. What if, now this is going to sound absolutely crazy. Am I recording? Let's make sure. Okay, go in here. What if they're building all these DCs all over the place and they're doing it quickly, and the bigger ones can produce enough energy, not consume, produce enough energy or a magnetic field where they could create portals, to get where I'm going, and they're bringing things in from other dimensions through these things. So that instead of just one in Switzerland, CERN, maybe I have another theory that the eclipse of 2024, April 8th of 2024, was a fake eclipse. Remember there was all these weird things going on where CERN ramped up at that time and everybody was wondering what was going on. And then people were saying, oh, they're creating portals, and they faked the eclipse. What if they were successful in their creating of portals? Because there was a thing. Gosh, this is so nuts. There was a thing. I don't know if people saw these videos of where around the eclipse there was like these black weird things flying through the air. They look like what's the word I'm looking for? Specters, something weird like that. It kind of looked like I don't know how to describe them, but let me show you. Okay, okay, we going again? Okay. I'm gonna switch over to uh Seconds of Horror. Make sure you can see this. Looks like it. Hope so, at least. So once I go back there, I should be okay. Uh, so watch this. This was at a Braves game. Was this tonight? I'm not sure if it was tonight.
Live during the Braves game.
It was live during the Braves game. We're gonna slow it down. Okay, I'm not sure. Probably fast forward a little bit. So, all right, watch what happens here. There was something just like this that came around or out of the eclipse. Sorry, it's taking so long. Don't want to miss it. All right, there it is. See it? Look at that thing. Kind of saw him in the fires too in California. What happened to my?
What is that?
Okay, one more time at regular speed.
It's another one of those black wispy flying things that look like dementors that I've spoken about on all my channels for quite some time now.
So isn't that odd? I'm hoping that worked. I just got rid of it though. So then it went to the next one. All right, I didn't get rid of this though. Stop sharing. Right back here. All right, so put it back. Sorry, this is gonna be long. Just work with me here. All right, so that was kind of odd. What is if they're releasing those and they decide that we're just one CERN facility is not enough. We need to put them all over the world so we can release them all over the world. Doesn't that sound like a crazy thing? Yes, it is crazy. I don't know. Just weird. I needed to check the names of the scientists at 1720. Is there anything between here? Come on. Oh, come on, work. Now it's going to freeze on me. No, please don't. Okay, so they got the names of some of these people, the scientists. Remember how they had like I don't know if I can do it with where they got the big board, an investigator checking out all the scientists that are no longer there, and they're keeping track of all the other scientists around the world, major scientists, see what's happening with them. And they came up with some weird names, so I don't know if there's anything. Will Downing, Jack Rooney, Jin Cheng, Augustina Salazar, and Vera Ye. But Vera Ye just is no longer. All right. I might have to keep pausing every once in a while. So I don't. What the people. This would be what the people would see. This countdown would come. No one else would be able to see it but them. and they would see the numbers. So she would have 1 day, 21 hours, and I can't see what the rest of it is, but you know what I'm talking about. It would literally be a second by second countdown. I'm not sure if this has anything to do with anything. We got a license plates R20 uh, TBR. I looked it up in the past and it was like some weird thing. Hold on. It mainly came up with tires. So in the show, they were talking about everything and how it's strange that their leader, their boss, jumped off of a thing and what would cause that? Well, her countdown happened, so she didn't have any time left, so that's what she just gave up. And then they shut down the whole particle accelerator. But he says, can't justify using enough electricity to power a small town. Isn't that something? So they're using so much electricity that it could power a whole town. And then here they are, it is in this series, this show. And then they're saying, yeah, not just Oxford, because that's where they were working at their particle accelerator. Every major accelerator on the planet. So they're all shutting down. So again, if something happens where everything shuts down suddenly, be alert. In the background, there's music playing. There's a song by Echo and the Bunnymen called Killing Moon. And it talks about a blue moon, but and it's weird because there's literally a blue moon tonight, which I'm going to try to see if I can see it now. We were cloudy with some rain earlier. We'll see. But let me throw you the lyrics. Here's the lyrics to that song. There's also another song in episode 2. It's called Moonlight Miles by the Rolling Stones. I didn't see anything of significance with that song, but look at this one. Under blue moon I saw you, so soon you'll take me. Up in your arms, too late to beg you or cancel it, though I know it must be. The killing time, unwillingly mine. Fate up against your will through the thick and thin. He will wait until you give yourself to him. So that was just kind of weird. Let me get back over here. Actually, let me pause it first. Second, let me hold on. So then this mysterious woman shows up. She seems to know the people, the scientists that have the countdown. So she tells these people, or at least this one woman at least, that to look up into the sky at midnight and the sky will wink. So when it happened at that exact time, she still saw her. Oh, the woman gives her a Tasty O's code finder, and it's from 1963, and it used to be in the boxes supposedly of Toasty O's cereal, but it's just one of those little cheap things with whatever. But anyway, it says to use that to break the code of what the message from the sky was. So the sky at midnight suddenly got really bright. All the stars got really super bright, and then the sky started flashing. It was flashing. The stars were flashing. The whole sky was flashing. But supposedly it never happened. It was just like a mirage, which makes me think of Bluebeam, because they said none of the satellites picked it up. Only people could see it from Earth. That's odd. But anyway, so then at midnight when it happened, she had somebody with her, and he was trying to figure out what the code was. What does it say? What does it say? It wasn't letters, it was numbers. So he was like repeating back the numbers, and it was the exact numbers of her countdown, even as it was going, counting down. So it was just a message for her at that particular time. which is odd. But again, so she wound up with she had nanotechnology company, and I think that maybe the technology that she had was like these nanofibers, and I'm thinking maybe it relates to protection, like maybe it was protecting the computers or the inside the DCs, if you know what I mean. So the dish back in 1966, China has this large dish to transmit messages. They were sending frequencies, but it wasn't enough. And the woman, figured it out that it wasn't enough. They needed more power or something to amplify it, which they used the sun to do it, which she shouldn't have never done, but she did anyway because she didn't care at that point. Uh, Also, there's this weird device, which I'm going to try to show you, that they found. It looks like a VR system. So, one of the scientists, who happens to be the daughter of the woman that was back in 1966 that sent the transmission in the first place, gave her this VR thingish weird, but it's not that really. But um, and only people that were invited to use it could use it. So one of the other scientists like wound up, throwing herself off the thing and unaliving herself. Died because of the countdown thing. She was using it to try to solve the problem. So in this VR thing, it like takes you to another world, and it's probably another dimension, and then you have to solve the world's riddles. So it's like it has levels that you have to go through to try to save civilizations. And so she had to figure that out. And then if I guess you didn't figure it out, each civilization in whatever maybe dimension didn't survive. So it's weird. In these dimensions, at certain times in this history, the sun's movements would be wrong, and then it would literally dehydrate everybody that was in the sunlight. So you'd have to go into shade to avoid it, or if you were in it, as long as you were in it and not like halfway out or whatever, you'd be instantly dehydrated. But then they could rehydrate you later. But so that's what happened when all the people got dehydrated. They would just roll them up like a rug and then keep them. And then they would wait for the time when they figured out what's going on. So if they knew that the civilization was going to live, they could rehydrate them. And in the one level, she thought she figured it out, but it was wrong. And all the people that they rehydrated wound up dying again because the problem wasn't solved. That's weird. But the device was found in Iran, at least one of them. So one of the other guys takes a look. She gives it to someone else to try, and he puts it on, and there's a woman that comes over and says, "You were not invited," and cuts his head off. So he thought it was just a game thing. So he went back in, same thing, gets his head cut off. He couldn't do it. He couldn't get nowhere in the game or whatever it was because he wasn't invited. But then he gets invited and gets his own VR set, whatever it is. So here we go. I'm going to try to put my whole theory out there of what I think this show is trying to say. So I think they're going to build all these places, and if you know, they have very thick walls, so they can withstand an EMP. So if they get all these things, DCs up and running, where they don't have to worry about them being damaged or messed up through an EMP. They can withstand that, and if power goes out everywhere else, they can still be up and running. So, sorry that this is so long, but maybe I'll put a disclaimer in there. If you want to get to the whole thing, go to whatever, Mark, for the conclusion or whatever, the whole theory, whatever it is. All right, so it's weird that the scientists in real life now are they coming up missing or dead? What's going on there? Are they trying to, a lot of people thought, oh, they were trying to warn people, but they silenced them so they wouldn't speak out against whatever they were trying to say. Or maybe, aliens were taking them away, whatever. Oh, and the thing too, in the show, the aliens are coming to Earth and they want to destroy all of our technology so that they can take over the Earth. And I'm thinking that they don't want to just get rid of everybody. They want to use them as slaves, which is kind of like a thing also too. So it goes with my premonition too. So back in 2017, 2018, I had a premonition that there were going to be two events. First event was going to be a worldwide blackout, and it would be for weeks, a month, 2 months, short period of time. And then they would bring back the power back. Since then, since I've had this premonition, I think that when they it's gonna be the Great Reset. They shut off the power everywhere else. The elites, have all the DCs up and running, and they can use those for their power and their evil schemes. But they're gonna, shut the whatever happens. They're gonna blame it on the sun, blame it on another country causing this EMP. The sun seems more likely because I think it's going to be a worldwide thing. So then they won't be able to blame it on any certain country or person or whatever. They'll blame it on the sun. And then after 2 months, everybody's going to be panicking, oh, no power, no food, no gas, no whatever. And then when they bring it back up, when they finally bring the power back up, they're going to say, oh, thank God we had these DCs because it backed up everybody's information. It backed up all the bank information, your medical, everything. And then they'll say, don't worry. You didn't lose your money in the banks. It's all ones and zeros anyway, right? Do we ever see real physical money that much? Not really, because usually our checks from our jobs go right straight into direct deposit. Most everything goes direct deposit. We don't see that much cash no more unless we actually take it out of the bank. So they do that, and then they say, oh, we saved everybody. Everybody should be thanking us that we had these DCs after all, because now it's the savior of all your bank accounts and medical information, all the data that they saved everything, backed it all up. And then they put your money back in the bank. But now they say, oh, by the way, now you need this digital ID. You need this or that in order to access your money. We've already seen signs of it already where they're thinking about doing that. Social credit scores. It's already here. But now this would be a global, worldwide thing where they could do this to everybody. Everybody could have, and then they could also bring in the UBI, the Universal Basic Income, in this point too. I got a feeling, though, they're going to slowly do it because they want people to get used to it. So if they give everybody their money back at first, and then later they get people used to it. Oh, okay. And then they'll get everybody used to the digital ID, used to having their money, all that, the job puts the check in. Social Security puts their checks in, puts their money in the bank all the time. But then they say, oh, now we want you to have this in order to access this. No buying or selling without it. And then there you go. They'll have everything all set up so that when they bring the power back up, the B system can be implemented. And anybody who doesn't agree, well, we'll just shut off your bank account. Oh, sorry, no more money for you. Oops, sorry, you can't work a job no more. Oops, you won't be able to purchase food for your family no more. They'll make it so, people, even if they stored up food for a while, even if they had access to food for a while, eventually, that's why I think they'll eventually do it, because after a certain amount of time, most people would give in and say, okay, we'll take the digital ID or whatever their thing is in order so they can have food, money, all that stuff. Wow. So, and then another thing too, I could see after the fact, after they finally, some people are going to wind up dying, maybe there'll be some events too, earthquakes, other stuff, disease, whatever, people starving to death, whatever happens, and some people are gone. But then the remaining people that are left, they'll implement the system. People that don't comply with the system, they'll wait for them to be desperate enough to take it eventually. Oh, I need food. Well, we're dying. Do it. That's when the plots will be out looking for the people, rounding them up and putting them into these camps. Now, the DCs could be the camps where they maybe re-educate or give them the choice, finally, one or the other, take the mark or whatever it is, or off with their heads. It's funny that they literally had in the game VR thing setting, if he tried to go there, if he wasn't invited, they would just cut his head off. That kind of weird. So also there. Now I want to show you something else. Check this out. Sorry, this is long, but it's worth it. Okay, so oopsie, where am I at? Gotta go here. Okay, oops. Then we're going here. Let me go right there. I put something in the chat GPT. I had a hard time getting a regular, just Google search. So it had no real answers for what I was trying to ask. So I was asking, can this produce as much power? Make sure you can see this. Can that produce as much power as a particle accelerator or a CERN or Fermi lab? And then it didn't give me a very good answer. Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't generate power, produce power. It consumes electricity. So then I had to ask it another question. Come on. There's some pictures right there of some of these Fermi Lab and CERN comparisons. But anyway, so then I had to ask it. But theoretically, could a place produce power or produce a magnetic field? And then suddenly now it says yes. So here's the other thing I was trying to say before. What is if they're using these things that now can produce is enough energy, magnetic field as a CERN could, and open up a portal? So I just asked these things. So now it says, well, usually they're not meant to be that way, but they, in theory, could. So it could. Could it? Absolutely. Whoa, what happened? What did I do? Oh man, come on, don't mess up. What the heck? Why is it doing that? Oh, it's changing the size on me. All right, better be careful. Should go a little bit bigger. I don't know how it got to do that, but maybe that's good. So yeah, so now you can kind of read. But it's not designed. It's designed to consume electricity, not generate it. But it could do it. Same with CERN or a Fermi lab. It could do it too. Produce these very large magnetic fields. In principle, yes, they could. But they're trying to say that that's not what they're there for. But they could. So if one of these DCs or Fermi labs could produce a magnetic field, maybe in theory it could open up a portal, and maybe they could open up portals all over the world and release things into each portal through the portals. So in theory, could CERN, if CERN could produce a magnetic field capable of opening a portal, could that or a Fermi lab do the same? And then they assume, if a magnetic field could open a portal, then yes. The answer is depends. Well, it depends on but yes, depends on the size. So it says any facility capable of generating that field could potentially do it, not just CERN. Fermi Lab has large accelerator infrastructure, so it would be likely a more plausible candidate than the other one. Really. But in modern physics, blah, 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 blah. We're not trying to say that. We're just going through that as a possibility. So, yes, it is possible under that scenario that it could do that. So, there's my point. There's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that maybe that's what they're doing. Let me know what you think about that. Sorry to make this so long, but it's hard to explain something like this because it's so very strange. I hope that kind of makes sense in a way, even though it sounds crazy. There's I've finished half of the episode 2, and let me see if there's anything important I can just throw in there really fast. They talked about extra dimensions, and I was thinking some survive, most perish. But in theory, there's like endless amounts of extra dimensions, multiverses, where, in one reality or one dimension, this could happen, while in another dimension, something else could happen. Oh, they also mentioned Golden Age, and I was like, no way. Once they achieved where they knew when certain things were going to happen with, like, the movement of the sun is what they called it, then they knew they could have their golden age. It was a 63-year golden age, which is weird. And they sped up time. So some more weird things there. Let me know what you guys think. I think this is nuts, absolutely crazy, but in the times we're in, with everything happening, what do you think? Thanks for watching. God bless.